Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new legal breaking reporting. In today's legal breaking reporting, which is actually the same day that the article came out, attorneys for Abrego Garcia have said that his the administration, the Trump administration, has repeatedly stonewalled their efforts to get information out of them that is illegally stonewalled. Let's view this new reporting by Sandhill Express. The article is titled Abrego Garcia's attorneys say Trump administration has stonewalled, by CBS News, May 13, 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, that article reads, attorneys for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man who the Trump administration admitted was mistakenly included in a group of accused gang members sent to a prison in El Salvador, accused the government of having, quote, stonewalled, unquote, the court-ordered facilitation of his return to the U.S. Quote, plaintiffs have sought discovery to uncover the truth as to the government's efforts or lack thereof, as well as its ability to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. The essential issue in this case, over and over, the government has stonewalled deliberative process plaintiffs by asserting, unsupported privileges, primarily state secrets, and deliberative process to withhold written discovery and to instruct witnesses not to answer even basic questions, unquote. The filing, published late Monday, says, quote, even as the government speaks freely about Abrego Garcia in public in its litigation, it insists on secrecy, unquote. U.S. District Judge Policini ordered in April that the government must facilitate his release, a ruling that has been upheld by the Supreme Court. Last week, the Trump administration appears to have invoked the state secrets privilege and other privileges to withhold information in the case from Abrego Garcia's attorneys as they continue to seek his release. On Tuesday, Cini said in an order that the government had failed to provide a privilege log or a document that lists the material being withheld to invoke state secrets privilege. Cini gave the government to provide the privilege log until 3 p.m., saying that failure failure to file the privilege log or otherwise respond will be construed as an intentional refusal to comply with this court's orders, unquote. The government filed, their response at 3 p.m., but was sealed to the public. The Justice Department had indicated last month that it would invoke certain privileges to protect information regarding Abrego Garcia's removal from the U.S., citing in a filing the attorney-client privilege, the state secrets privilege, and certain executive privileges. The government's response to the allegations of stonewalling and their invocation of privilege were filed under seal with the court. Abrego Garcia's attorneys said there is, quote, little reason to believe, unquote, that invoking the state secrets privilege is appropriate in this case. Quote, no military or intelligence operations are involved, and it defies reason to imagine that the United States' relationship with El Salvador would be endangered by any effort to seek the return of a wrongfully deported person who the government admits never should have been removed to El Salvador in the first place, unquote, Abrego Garcia's attorneys wrote. No quote, ladies and gentlemen. There's no quote. That was my dad. There's no quote as of yet. Cini has set a hearing for May 16 to hear further arguments about the government's privilege invocations, as well as to hear arguments from Abrego Garcia's attorneys on their desire, for more fact-finding in the case. Cini told a Justice Department attorney during a hearing last month that if the Trump administration does assert privileges, justification must be provided for each claim, and she will make a determination as to whether they can stand. The Trump administration has invoked the state secrets privilege before in a case involving the deportations of Venezuelan migrants to the El Salvadorian prison called the Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, under war powers. In Abrego Garcia's case, Cini had ordered the Trump administration to turn over documents to his lawyers and allowed them to conduct depositions with certain administration officials. Some of the records were initially due last month, but Cini agreed to push back her deadlines after the Trump administration filed information with the court under seal. One day earlier, Cini had accused the administration of showing a, quote, willful and bad faith refusal to comply with discovery obligations, unquote. Abrego Garcia's attorneys wrote that all depositions were completed by the end of last week, but said they are not satisfied with the answers they have received. President Trump and other top administration officials have repeatedly said it is up to El Salvador whether to release Abrego Garcia, who had been held at CCOT. As of April 21, he was being held at a lower security facility in Santa Ana, according to a declaration from a State Department official. This, ladies and gentlemen, is true. However, I will fact check the Trump administration on this one. It is not up to El Salvador. As of the moment, it is still up to the United States. According to the Vice President of El Salvador, the ball is still in the United States jurisdiction. In other words, the United States still has the ball in our court. The El Salvadorian government, from his words, Vice President Felix's words of El Salvador, said that they cannot do anything until the case is resolved in the United States, which more than likely the case will never be resolved in the United States until the Trump administration complies and does what they're told by every court in the United States. Continuing with the article. Abrego Garcia was born in El Salvador, entered the United States illegally in 2011, and has been living in Maryland since then. He was granted a withholding of removal, a legal status in 2019 that prevented the government from deporting him back to his home country of El Salvador because of a risk of persecution by local gangs. But Abrego Garcia was among the hundreds of migrants, mostly Venezuelans, sent by the Trump administration to CCOT in March. Hence, ladies and gentlemen, they illegally sent one Venezuelan migrant and detainee, as well as Abrego Garcia. Time for you to start being responsible in Trump administration? Or are you guys gonna be stubborn and sucked up to your boss that you guys will say, F you courts, F you Supreme Court? Well, I have some news for Christine Noem. F you, you bunto. I hate you. You stink at your job. You're an evil, corrupt POS. Continuing with the article. Quote, The court should reject the government's efforts to hide behind the state secrets privilege and compel all defendants from DHS and DOJ to fully respond to written discovery and all deponents from those departments to fully answer deposition questions, unquote. The attorneys wrote to Judge Sini, adding later that, quote, the state secrets privilege is not for withholding government plunders or malfeasance, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's legal breaking reporting. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Firstly. Secondly, if you want to make sure that you're always up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please consider hitting the bell icon as well as the all notifications option. The bell icon is located directly beneath the screen, right next to the subscribe button on the right hand side. Thirdly, if you also want to stay up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please do consider following me on my social medias. That will be linked down below in the video description below. I am on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok. There you guys will be updated instantly on when I've uploaded brand new legal breaking analysis reportings to the YouTube channel. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the goal of 160 plus subscribers. The reason why I am saying 160 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 160 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve right after we reach and achieve the goal of 160 subscribers. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive, even though I know it's hard for majority of you to stay positive at times during these unconstitutional, illegal, unlawful, induced darkness times caused by the illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime, and know that justice will prevail eventually on the correct side of the law despite Donald Trump and his illegal, unconstitutional, unlawful administration's executive orders, actions, and behaviors that are all illegal, unconstitutional, and unlawful. Before we end today's legal breaking reporting, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to show you a very specific page so that you guys know that Judge Policini actually said this. This is a page out of her ruling. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Order. Per this court order, ECF number 115, the parties have filed simultaneously and brief and accompanying motions, to seal CE CF numbers 125 through 130. Evidently missing from the defendant's filing is the privilege log that this court ordered to be produced. Seen ECF number 115. Quote, on the same date, defendants shall provide the privilege log discussed in ECF number 112 to the court, unquote. Accordingly, defendants are ordered to correct this deficiency and file the privilege log by 3 p.m. today. Failure to file the privilege log or otherwise respond will be construed as an intentional refusal to comply with this court's orders. Additionally, the court directs plaintiffs to file by 3 p.m. today the privilege log that defendants have provided them to them in discovery. Again, the court reminds the parties that they must adhere to this court's local rules should they seek to seal any portion of the log. So ordered, May 13, 2025, date, Policini, United States District Judge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I highly doubt they filed, the Trump administration at least did. I highly doubt the Trump administration filed. Because they don't do anything they're told. And especially Kristi Noem, she pretty much just said, fuck you to the Supreme Court. Your opinions and orders and merits and edicts do not matter. You dumbass bitch. I hope to God that you go down as the worst DHS secretary and director in history, as well as you rot in prison and never be let out. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive and always look for the points of light in today's unfortunate, induced, illegal darkness times caused. And I will talk to you guys in the next legal breaking reporting.